Welcome back to another video, guys. This is part three of my series on everything you need to know in order for a successful body recon. So, just to summarize, we did cover step one and step two already. If you haven't seen those videos, then go check it out. Um, this was basically talking about mindset and creating a new 2.0 version of you, because without these two, forget about these steps. Um, you guys, which you guys would probably already know if you have watched this video, but if not, then watch these two videos because if you don't get these two steps right, then you won't be able to execute these. I promise you. So that's to enough of the talking now. Let's now get into the tactical side of things. So, so in this video, I'm going to be covering just step three, and next video I will cover step four. But yeah, so timeline setup. So why do we actually need a timeline? We need a timeline because we don't want to end up, cutting for an infinite number of weeks. We need to know exactly how many weeks we need to execute our cut for. Now, obviously, you may not be, getting to 10% body fat at that specific week, which is fine. But if you just give yourself that estimated X number of weeks, it'll just give you that idea on, knowing obviously how long it's gonna take, giving you that rough idea on how long, giving you that rough idea on knowing when you're going to like eventually get there. So that's why we need to have a timeline. We need to know the X number of weeks. But how do we actually calculate the X number of weeks? And how do we like determine how many weeks, how long it's going to take us to get there? Now, we do this in so we do this by first identifying what our actual body fat percentage is and what your scale weight is. Because if you don't have these two, you won't be able to you won't be able to, you know, give your calculate how long it's going to take you to get into shape because we need this in order to give us our lean body mass and our target scale weight. So to identify what body fat percentage you need to be at, to identify, excuse me, to identify what body fat percentage you are, obviously we're not going to know precisely how much body fat we have. So therefore, when it comes to measuring a body fat percentage, always overestimate how much body fat you have. So if you think you're 15% body fat, for example, add 2 to 3% on top of that. Because with my cut, right, I thought I was 20% body fat. But I was actually 23, 22% body fat. Because I thought this was going to take 9 weeks, since obviously I estimated myself at like 20%. But it took 17 weeks, 16, 17 weeks instead. Simply because I had more fat than I thought I had. Because nine times out of 10, you guys have more fat than you think. I'll promise you that for sure. And this includes myself as well. I take this from me because I overestimated how much body fat I had. So therefore, always overestimate your body fat percentage. Now, how do we measure percentage? Simply search up. I'll do this for you guys. So search up body fat percentage chart. Then using, any of these charts, like this one, for example, compare compare like how you look to the body fat chart and see where you roughly fit at. And then where you roughly fit at, add 2 to 3% on top of that. So if you think you're 12%, because you got this similar visual look to this guy, add 2% on top of that. Always overestimate your body fat percentage just to give yourself that extended timeline. Oh, sorry, we need this. So always give yourself that overestimation of your body fat percentage. Always overestimate your body fat percentage so that you can give yourself that extended timeline. And so once you get your body fat percentage and once you have your weight, once you weight, just if you don't know your weekly average weight, then just weigh yourself for this one day, and then see how much you weigh first thing in the morning, fasted, and then take that weight, and then obviously once you get those two, once you get these two, then that's when you can calculate your lean body mass. And we do this by using this formula: scale weight, your scale weight minus your scale weight times it by how much body fat you have. Or alternatively, what you can do is get your scale weight, times it by the like the body the percentage of your like lean body mass. So like the percentage of like your weight with no fat, your lean body mass. Times that. You do this by just doing 100% minus how much body fat you have, and then obviously just timesing it by that percentage in decimal. Converting that to decimal, and you just times it by um the that number in decimal. So two ways you can do this. Obviously, pick the approach that fits well for you, and then once you get your like lean body mass, then that's when you can calculate your target scale weight at 10%, 12%, 15%, depending on what body fat percentage you want to. But let's use 10% as an example. And then obviously, once you get that target scale weight, you can then identify how much fat. You'll then know like how much kilos of fat you roughly have, and therefore you'll know how much fat you will need to lose. And then, depending on how much weight you want to be losing per week, you can then calculate how many weeks it will roughly take you to get to that target scale weight, and maybe to be getting to get to that 10% body fat, or whatever body fat percentage you're trying to get to. And if this sounds confusing, let me give you guys an example. Yeah. So let's say if your weight is 70 kg and your lean, no, not your, and your body fat percentage, you estimated yourself as an overestimate of 25% body fat. Therefore, to calculate lean body mass, you'll get your scale weight, which is 70 kg, and then minus it by the scale weight again, which is 70 kg, times by the body fat percentage. This will give you like the weight of your whole like body fat percentage within your weight. Or what you can do is you can get your scale weight, times it by how much the percentage of your like weight that has no fat. So 75%, if you're 25% body fat, for example, 75% of it is going to be filled up with muscle, tissue, and therefore to calculate your lean body mass, so therefore your lean body mass, so therefore you can just do 70 times by 100% minus 25%, which is 75%, and then obviously converting that into decimal, which is 0.75, and then you can just times it by 70 after, and that's how you get your lean body mass. And then obviously to get your target scale weight, you just add 10% on top of that. If your goal is to get to 10% body fat, but if your goal is to get to 12% body fat, you'll just add 12% of that on top of that. But using 10% body fat as an example, you'll get this will give you that target scale weight of 57.75 kg or 58 kg if you want to round up, or maybe 57 kg if you want to round that down to get that lower bound. But if you want to be precise, then in order for you to get to 10% body fat, you will need to be roughly at this weight, and therefore, to be precise, you will need to lose 12.15 kg, because obviously 70 kg minus 57.75 kg is 12.15 kg. Quick maths. And then let me just make this. And then if you're losing 0.7 to 1 kg per week, if that's your aim, then obviously it's going to be taking you 12 to 13 weeks, but make sure you round it up. But I would say round it up to 13 weeks, because every single week you may not be losing 1 kg, you may be losing less than 1 kg per week. That's why it's good to round up your X number of weeks. Even yeah, it's very good to round up your weeks, so because like you can't obviously lose fat. Yeah, you can't finish your cut in 12.15 weeks. It has to be like an integer, you know. So therefore, always I would recommend you guys to round it up just to give you that extended deadline. But whereas if you want to do a slower rate loss, if you want to do it less aggressive, then the amount of weight you will need to lose will take 24 to 25 weeks. Well, I'll say 25 if you want to round it up. But if you want to just round it down, then yeah, it will take 24 weeks, because obviously 12 divided by 0.5 is 24. Or if you round it up, 13 divided by 0.5 is Oh no, it's 26 weeks. My bad, guys. It's 26 weeks. 13 divided by 0.5 or 12.5 divided by 0.5, that will give you 25 weeks. So yeah, 24, 25, 26 weeks around that timeline, around that timeline period is when you'll you'll roughly get to 10% body fat. So that's basically like the timeline set up on how to identify how long it's going to take you to get to this level of leanness, whether that's 10%, 12%, um, whilst you're trying to build muscle along the way. Obviously, we established already that you need to do a body recomp. We're just assuming that you established that you need to do a body recomp, so I'm not going to cover that. But yeah, that's basically like the entire. So yeah, that's basically the entire like formula to set up how long it's going to take you to get to that desired level of leanness of 10%, 12%, 15%. So yeah, that's it from me. If you want my help to get to 10% body fat, and if you want me to help you set up the timeline for you, then click the link down in the description of this video. If not, then the fact that you watched this video is good enough for me. Thanks for watching as always. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you lot in the next video.